You're listening to the Me, My Bag and I Ostomy podcast.
Hello, we're here today to talk about returning to work following surgery to form a stoma. I'm Paige and I currently work with ex-armed forces that are isolated, vulnerable and in prison. I have an ileostomy bag formed in 2016 and I've been working in my job for over a year now and they've been really supportive since my surgery.
Hi, I'm Chrissie. I had a stoma formed in 2011 when I worked as a gardener. That wasn't supportive and I was made redundant, and I now work as a nutritional therapist.
Hi, my name's Elizabeth and I had my ileostomy formed in June last year, 2019. I'm a communications electronics engineering officer in the Royal Air Force, and I've been supported throughout my illness and my surgeries.
So what was your experience like when you were diagnosed before your surgery?
So I was diagnosed in May 18 and I hid it from everybody because I was quite ashamed of my symptoms. I wasn't really sure about the disease. I had ulcerative colitis. I'd never had any experience of bowel disease, no friends, family, etc. So I kept it very much to myself and just kind of tried to manage it. My close friends were really supportive, but it wasn't really until the January in 2019. I was totally transparent with my boss, but none of my other colleagues knew about it. My boss at the time, he was incredibly supportive. He almost kind of listened to me and listened to my needs, but left me to it to a certain extent. He just took a step back and said, right, what do you need from me? And I said, absolutely nothing. I just need you to allow me to deal with things the way I kind of know best and with my IBD team. And it wasn't until I had to have emergency surgery in the June 2019 that things became kind of open with work. From there, unfortunately, because I was in hospital for so long, and then with subsequent surgery, they had to offer me a level of protection. It's in the military, it's called duty of care. So the Royal Air Force offered me duty of care to put me on long-term sick leave. And since then, in the early stages, like work were really quite supportive, and phone calls, medicals team just kept on saying, well, what can we do for you, type thing, which was really quite nice, like especially on in the early stages when everything was like really foreign and scary, and for the year previous to having surgery, I was on and off of so many different medications, hospital visits, infusions that made me incredibly sick. And I was so scared of surgery because of the kind of ramifications that it might have on my kind of future career. But luckily, it's not had a grave impact. But yeah, and it's opened other doors, which I'll talk about afterwards.
And how did you find emotionally? How were you emotionally at work? Was that difficult?
So I've been in the military for 18 years, really. So when I go to work, I'm very much kind of work Elizabeth.
Right.
So I kind of put on my uniform in the morning, and I'm there to work. I'm not there to be emotional.
That's good.
But certainly after work, or being up 4 or 5 times a night, visiting the toilet, being fatigued, not being able to eat when I wanted to eat. So I wouldn't eat during the day for fear of going to the toilet or fear of kind of having any kind of accidents. So during my working hours, I wouldn't let it affect me. But then kind of when I finished work and took that uniform off, yeah, there was a huge degree of isolation. And you know, that was prior to surgery. And the kind of the daunting aspect of having your bowel removed and having a colostomy bag on you is just quite horrifically scary, really. But yeah, you adapt and you overcome, and the more you kind of like normalize it in your own head, the more confidence that you can have, and the more people, your close friends and family, like, you know, I don't know what I would do without them, and to a certain extent that like my job as well, because the RAF provide me with a different level of family support, which has been like crucial really to my recovery. But you didn't really have as positive experience, did you?
No, I think I thought my immediate boss was being very supportive. I actually had chemotherapy whilst designing the winter bedding, which the nurses hated because I was really tired, and I did it because I was kind of, okay, I've got to keep my hand in, and I later found that the information my boss was receiving, she was reporting back to HR, and they were trying to work out how to get rid of me, really, because local authorities don't have a great deal of money, and so having a person in a role as supervisor who is not there puts a lot of pressure. However, when I came back, I thought they would be able to, because I was the most qualified and experienced supervisor, one of three, I thought they would perhaps be able to change my role so that I was doing more of the head work.
And almost accommodate you.
Less of the physical, because my job was to supervise actions. You know, I didn't necessarily need to do the actions. And I was the only one with any real horticultural knowledge and training. So that was really disappointing. I found that emotionally very hard to deal with. My partner had mental health and alcohol issues and was a non-drinking person, but I had supported him for many years, and through it became quite isolated. So my world was him and my work, and so it was, you know, I was very one-track minded, that I needed to keep my job. But I think also I felt they were my work family. So it really felt, it was really hard to deal with afterwards. And I live in the same town, I don't really see anyone. Very rare that I bump into anyone. So with splitting up from my partner as well, I was very isolated for quite a few years. So for me, going and retraining was a really good idea, because it kind of, it reintroduced me to a working lifestyle, so that I could go out and get on with people. And I suppose losing your job, you lose your confidence.
And your purpose.
Yeah, exactly. You're purposeless.
Yeah.
You know? And I've been, and also because I cared about my work, and you know, I walk past gardens and trees that I planted, and you know, if I see things aren't right, for ages it really hurt me that they weren't being looked after properly, and you know, so there's a real. I felt like I'd kind of grown up in that environment and been through a lot of things in that environment. So I really felt like I was in a boat without my oars, you know, I was just floating around.
It's good that you got a focus now, like
Yeah, absolutely.
something completely different, and you're building a life around that as well.
And how did you cope after yours?
After the original surgery, the first surgery, it was hard, but I sort of got on with it. I was still employed at the time, and they were being supportive, but not as much support as I needed. I returned to work after 3 months, and I was still given all of the heavy lifting, the manual jobs, not just serving people, but all the things that go on behind, like the back of the shop. And then when I was told I needed the rest of my rectum and my bum sewn up and it made permanent, I knew that surgery was a longer recovery. Work were informed, seemed fine about it at the time. And then I was off I think about 10 months because the wound wasn't healing. I was called in for a formal meeting with management and told that I was going to be made redundant due to ill health, which obviously it's a knockback after having so much go on, like surgeries and illness and all the medication that cause a lot of other issues that then they become lifelong issues, so it carries on and carries on. But then I was sort of like isolating myself, weren't talking to nobody. And then someone from the Purple Wings charity got in touch, the founder, and she was like, why don't you come and volunteer, help out, come and travel with me, giving out grants. So that sort of gave me a purpose and built my confidence back up, and I met other people with a stoma. So that sort of pushed me to get back into full-time work. So I applied for a job in 2018, over a year after the permanent surgery. And that was with a company called Project Nova, and then it was to help work with ex-armed forces that are in prison or into custody. And since then, I can't fault them. They've been amazing. Anything that I need, they will do. Anything, like I literally cannot fault them in what they've done. They've supported me every time I needed a procedure done. Appointments, they'll say that's fine, go. Don't worry about work. We'll sort that out.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Really.
So it's sort of like a negative experience into a positive. I mean, I wouldn't be where I am now if I didn't have the surgeries.
Yes.
I feel like I'd still be stuck in that same job, unhappy. But because I've had the surgeries, it sort of pushed me to...
Because that's quite a tough job to go for.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we deal with very vulnerable people in crisis, suicidal, so it can be draining on yourself as well. But well, I mean, we receive counselling through work. I can't fault them. They are really, really good.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I think our surgeries have all actually given us opportunities that we might not have had previously.
Definitely.
And I know that's quite hard for maybe somebody listening to this to think that surgery can offer other opportunities and open other doors.
But it won't happen straight away.
No, of course not. It does take time,
But it's definitely, you're right. I definitely can see a complete positive. Not that I would have obviously preferred not to have stoma.
Yeah, of course.
But actually, my life is way better now, and I think at a time when a lot of people are kind of saying, "Oh, well, I'm going to retire soon," and just starting a new career, and I think that just gives you an enormous boost
and a new lease of life.
Yeah, exactly, and excitement to get up and do stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you totally changed your career, didn't
Yes,
you?
yeah. I think it was quite hard after being physically very strong, and although I'd studied horticulture, my enjoyment was the actual physical nature of the job, and I absolutely loved that. I loved pushing myself, and I was stronger than a lot of the guys that I worked with. Certain tools, they would be really tired after half an hour going, how can you lift this? And I would be using those tools all day. So that was a real, I just enjoyed it. And also I enjoyed being completely confident that I could do something. I knew exactly what to do. you know, I'd worked hard at it, and I was now in my kind of don't need to look things up. I just know what's going on. So yeah, that I didn't really want to do it from the sidelines in another place. So I think I'm much happier having said, okay, that was really good, but rather than focus on the negative, what you can't do every day, go and do something else, learn something new.
Yeah, that you can do and that you're confident in doing.
Yeah, and just close that door behind me, really.
I'm still employed by the RAF, but I was given a wonderful opportunity, so they've almost like accommodated like my condition, and so from me having a subtotal colectomy in June, I've decided to have a J pouch and my ileostomy reversed. So I had my stage 2 J pouch surgery in November, just passed, and then I'll have my third surgery hopefully in the summer. So if you kind of look at my surgery start to finish, there's probably about a year, and I am very fortunate enough that my employers have kind of worked with me, offered me a position that I will go back to in October. But as a prerequisite for that position, they're putting me through a university course, and in between, it's really stressful. And I don't know if I should really be putting that amount of stress on myself, like whilst going through surgery. But what it's offered me is flexibility, and my surgeons and consultants have been flexible with my academic timetable, my my kind of chain of command, if you like, are accepting that I'm not going to be physically in work for a year, but I'm going to be studying towards another job that then I will return to work in like October, which I can't wait for. I'm really excited. But I think, you know, when you're kind of, it's really unfortunate that some people are like dismissed from employment, or you know, the hierarchy, their bosses aren't accommodating. But there's always a way and a mean of kind of trying to be flexible with life, really, if you like, and being kind to yourself. That okay, so you might not be able to like hump and dump like, you know, like your trees and be physically active in your job, or it's really unfortunate that, you know, after being with your company for so long that then you're dismissed. But you know, to be just kind to yourself and think, right, okay, well, do you know what, right now that job might not be suitable for me, and if you move on to something else that is more suited to you, then you're going to be happier, aren't you, really?
Yeah. And how have you found, one of the things I found difficult with work and with some of the temporary jobs I did in between was toilet facilities. There seems to be a lot of toilets now that don't have a window that you could open, or the last temporary job I had, the toilet was directly opposite the staff room, and also you had to have permission to go into the locker room, and the locker was a really complicated combination lock, which I kept forgetting.
Oh, no.
So you're quite stressed, you need your bag, you need to go to the bathroom, you're trying to do your combination, and then you're carrying a bag that everyone's looking at you, oh, what's that bag? And then you go into a toilet and you feel it's smelly and it's right opposite the staff room. It was, you know, I found that quite traumatic.
Yeah.
In
100%.
quite a lot of places.
I mean, a lot of toilet facilities aren't that great anywhere. Anywhere you go, even when you go out shopping, they're not great. But I think with the campaigns that are going on at the minute, they're trying to make it better with putting like shelves in toilets and things like that. But I think it's needed, especially for those of us with a stoma, because if you have an accident or you need to change your bag, you've got nowhere to put it.
Yeah.
And obviously you're worrying about the smells and what people are going to think, why you're taking so long in the toilet. And especially when you're at work as well and you're thinking, people are thinking, why are they taking longer than 10 minutes in the toilet?
Yeah.
What
And
are
what's
they
that
doing?
rustling noise?
Yeah.
Yeah. I quite like the toilets that say like every disability.
Yeah, and
Or
visible.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What is it?
Not every disability is visible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
it. Yeah.
like that
Yeah.
campaign.
Before I had my surgery, and I was going some days. I was going to the bathroom like 20 times a day. Like, on a good day it would be kind of 12, 13, 14 times. So that was quite uncomfortable, getting up and from my desk, walking to the toilet. And, sometimes, well, it's a private matter. You don't really want everybody to hear.
Yeah.
And especially, like, I work in a male-dominated environment as well. I don't want the lads, like, seeing me walk to the toilet every 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so if there's a toilet outside a staff room, or it can create an anxiety in you.
Yeah, definitely. I think maybe companies could be made more aware that actually toilets for some people need to be more private,
Yeah.
because it is embarrassing, and maybe having you're not always in the workplace able to leave your supplies in the toilet. So if they could have a little lockable cupboard that you could maybe put. I always carry a top and a sort of tracky bottoms, just in case. And you could leave things in a little locker in the toilet, so you're not kind of going, okay, everyone, I've been to my locker, I've got my bag, and now I'm running across back to my locker, I've got a bigger bag because I've had an accident, and then everyone goes, weren't you wearing a blue top earlier?
Oh.
So, I used to say, I just spilt coffee over myself, or, but I think that definitely was one of my anxieties at work.
I've got one future anxiety, actually, with work. So although I'm off of work just now, and I attend university, and I like home study, so I'm essentially working from home. But I've got a military course in May to attend, and this will be the second time that I've had to put a uniform on with my bag. The first time, it created a lot of anxiety, but in the end it was absolutely fine. But I only attended a conference, so I only had the uniform on for maybe about, I don't know, 2 hours maximum. And I didn't eat, I didn't drink, so it wouldn't fill up.
It took me a long time, I think, to actually overcome those anxieties. Like, everyone can see it. What if I go to the loo? Now that I irrigate, I guess it's things like I can't just go and stay with a friend easily if they've only got one toilet and they've got children, because I need the bathroom for an hour.
Irrigation takes quite a long time, doesn't it?
If I'm relaxed, I can actually irrigate partway through, have a shower, and actually have the whole thing done in 1 hour. But if I've got if I do quite a lot of conferences in London, so it's an early start. I need to get the train, which is already an anxiety because people tell you about the doors that come open. So that's one of my fears. So on a day like that, you can almost guarantee that it will go wrong. And I try to leave the house and it fills up and change. And sometimes I do abandon. But luckily it's kind of becoming a little less often. But I think that mental connection to your stomach, it's an important day, so it's just going to play up. But I do find the fasting really, really helps with the confidence of, getting a train, doing your day, and, I don't find it does any harm to my body as long as I eat well in between.
Yeah, can't sustain that though.
No,
you
it's
know,
not ideal,
no.
but I think a lot of it as well is understanding how your body reacts to
Yeah,
certain things.
absolutely.
And it's just that preparation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Every day before you go to work, or where certain foods are like broccoli soup. I like broccoli soup,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to have it
Yeah.
in the daytime. I'll have it in the evening,
Yeah,
where
absolutely.
everything can happen as it likes. So if you were giving advice to someone else who's about to have surgery, what would you say to them?
First of all, I would say don't be scared. Because many a night I spent in hospital crying my eyes out, thinking that my whole world and my whole life was ending. I thought I was going to lose my job. I thought I was going to lose my health, lose my fitness. So my first bit of advice would be to remain strong and don't be afraid. And probably my second would be to be kind to yourself. I think, you know, we're all very driven women here, and I'm sure the people that are listening to this are driven and ambitious. Personally, I've got quite high standards of myself. So if I don't meet goals, or if I don't meet certain kind of, I don't know, yeah, goals, I suppose, then I can be quite harsh upon myself. Before surgery and before my illness, you know, I would like go to the gym every day. I would be running. I would be like have this such an active lifestyle that, you know, sleep was a tertiary kind of need, you know. But then when I did have surgery, my so my fatigue levels were I was just chronically tired all the time, and my first surgery wasn't too bad. It was like quite seamless and flawless, but my second surgery has been quite damning, and I've really had to kind of learn that I can't just put my trainers on and like go for my 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 mile runs. You know, I can't like punish my body doing HIIT sessions every single day. If if I've not got the energy to go and see friends, then I have to be true and say, do you know what? I'm just exhausted. I need to go to bed at 7 o'clock at night.
Yes.
You sort of need, like you said, be kind to yourself and cut yourself some slack, because it's your body and your mind, and you've got to deal with things yourself before you can sort of let anybody else in, because you're the one that's got to live with this bag on your tummy for the rest of your life, or for however long you've got it. So you sort of need to deal with your own issues. And if that's going to your GP and saying, look, I need help with this, it's affecting my mental health, then do it. Don't be scared to go and ask for help, because a lot of people will bottle it up and not talk about it and just hide it away from everybody. But you need to sort of let people in as well. Like, if you've got a good relationship with family and friends, you've got a good partner and things, and that's always positive, because they understand and accept it, so you've got no reason to shy away from it and be open about your stoma.
I think as well, if you do end up having an unsupportive working situation, I think there is help out there. I ended up having a disability benefit, being on universal credit, but with a disability benefit added to that, which makes it a livable amount. And actually, I wouldn't have probably had a hernia if I hadn't been running around lifting trees and going to the gym, because I thought I could just almost ignore what had happened to me, and just get my old life back. But actually, you know, I think you do need to stand back and look at the bigger picture. And if you're not getting the support, being taken care of, even if it is by social security for a period of time, is time for you to look after yourself. And you do need to have a lot of self-care and a lot of sleep so that you can recover. And I think it's a huge emotional change, especially if you've had multiple surgeries. And, you know, I'd had chemo, my brain wasn't working very well either, you know. So I think I would say to people, you know, really, as you said, give yourself a break and recognise that actually, even though you've got through it really well, it is actually a big thing.
It's huge.
You know, I would always say, oh no, it wasn't really, you know, it wasn't really that much. And I kind of believed myself that it was like, oh yeah, I had a really bad cold that time, but now I'm just going to go back into exactly who I was, you know. And I think the sooner you recognise you can't do that, the better, really.
Yeah, so thank you very much for listening today. We all hope that by sharing our experiences, we've at least maybe helped or informed you. Thank you.
Thanks for downloading the free Me, My Bag and I podcast from Salts Healthcare. If you enjoyed it, please hit the subscribe button and the next podcast will come straight to your device. We care what you think, so it'd be great to hear your thoughts. Please leave a review on iTunes.